happy belated Father's Day from everyone here at the Dad-ime crew. We're so excited to have you here today. We're going to do a special Father's Day episode. I know Father's Day already happened. I know. Just relax. Okay, we're dads. We're busy. Okay, we're getting to it. Today we're going to talk about our favorite memories of being a dad, whether that includes anime or not. And I think we're going to stay a little on the anime light side this time around because we really want to just focus on fatherhood and being a dad. That is the other pillar of our podcast. There's dad and anime. So I think it's time for us to really hit hard on that dad portion of our name. And so that's what we're going to do today. Yeah, how's it going, guys? I've got Tyler, the page sage, the manga maestro. I've got Preston, the dungeon crawling adventurer who's been isekai'd so many times at this point, at least 8. How's it going, guys? You holding it together?
Yeah, this is an apt episode because I am feeling it today.
Yeah.
I'm sore. My knees hurt.
It's been the week of projects amongst us all.
My gray has come in really strong this week.
Oh, yeah. It's looking good, man. It's distinguished. It's a distinguished gray.
I need to take a nap.
If it all goes, that'll be better. Yeah.
I'm going to take a nap right here.
Yeah, honestly. Good Lord. Busy week for everybody. So, well, our main topic that we wanted to talk about today was just our favorite memories of being a dad, whether that includes anime or not. Because it's Father's Day, and we want to talk about that, and then we want to get out of here and spend time with our families. That's what it's about, right? So, I guess I'll start off first, and this one does not include anime. But I have twin daughters, and when they were first born, they were my first kids, so obviously I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and now I have 2. So I'm, double trouble, head first right into the deep end, don't know what I'm doing. But one of my favorite memories was when they would sleep at night. Me and my wife decided we were going to take shifts so that we would not lose our sanity. So one would sleep, the other would be up with the kids, and then we would swap. And so my wife would sleep from like 9 o'clock to, I don't know, like 4 a.m. And then I would go to bed until I had to go to work, which it was brutal. But that sweet window of time, the kids would just sleep. My twin daughters would just sleep for the most part. Occasionally, make a bottle, whatever. But I would just sit there on the couch and I would lay completely sprawled out, and I have each of them on either side. And I would watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 all night long. And for those who don't know what Mystery Science Theater 3000 is, I don't blame you. It's pretty niche. It's kind of like a cult following. But it's essentially think of the crappiest movie you can ever watch. I'm talking like Atlantic Rim, not Pacific Rim, Atlantic Rim, or some 60s kaiju movie.
Dragon Ball Evolution?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Evolution. Yeah. Exactly. Think of the crappiest movie you can think of. And then it's a dude trapped in space with 2 robots who are being tortured by bad movies. And their whole way of surviving is just making fun of the movies to get through it all. And so for me, it was apt. I was like, hey, I've got these 2 kids and I'm trapped here in this couch. I can't go anywhere. I just got them. And it was just a good time, just having them with me, laughing at the stupidest movies of all time. I think back on that really fondly. It's just like a great time for me, even though we were doing nothing. I was feeding them bottles and watching crappy TV, but it was such just like a peaceful, as they get older, you don't get that much.
Yeah. So it's a good bonding moment too, because I feel like when they're that young, the hardest part about for me as a dad, when they're that small, it's hard to feel useful, right? Especially if you're for my wife, she was breastfeeding, and so I basically pick up the baby, bring her to him, maybe change the diaper, but then I was largely useless in this endeavor, right?
Yeah.
And being able to have those moments where it's you get to connect with them, that's cool.
Yeah, it really does feel that way for the first little while. You're just like, what? Why am I even here? I'm getting in the way more than I'm helping. It's rough.
That's kind of how I felt during the first little bit. I felt like I was just trying to hold it together, and she was doing most of the stuff with the baby, but I was just running the whole household behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I think I have a similar story to you. I have one child, and I remember he was born in January, so we had 6 months before I got off work for the summer. And when the summer hit, he he still just wanted to hang out next to me. And I remember putting on One Piece and just hanging out in the living room with him and just doing stuff with him. And the Toei cat animation is right before every episode. And it does that cool ding, and the Toei cat comes up, and Max would just turn and look at it and be like he loved the Toei cat. And then the One Piece music would start, and I watched all of One Piece from infancy all the way to his first year. It took me a whole year to get through all of it. So it was definitely worth it, and he just made it a blast because he would take a nap on me, and I would just watch One Piece. Just same story as you, yeah. Just One Piece there. So that's where I became part of that Straw Hat crew.
Love it.
It's honestly like the best time you're gonna have to try and binge a show or get through something, like especially One Piece 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
Like there's really nothing you can do, just being readily available, and what better way to do that than just having anime running in the background.
And if there's no ads, you just skip you can skip, you hear the intro. If it's a different intro, you watch it, but you don't have to watch all of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch the episode recaps. You don't have to watch the end credits.
I love it. Yeah, mine is kind of a twofer. My daughter, when she was first born, one of the things that was kind of fun for me was very similar to what you guys were describing. At the time, I was working, I think, 2 jobs, possibly 3, where I was just going out of my mind, but it was all mostly at home. And so I'd have my daughter Sophia sitting in my arms, and I'd kind of be coddling her with one arm, and then the other arm I would be illustrating, or I'd be doing different things, just trying to get things done. And it was one of the ones that I remember. It wasn't anime, but it was Thor, and it was specifically, I think it was the Thor 1 and Dark World that I watched, because with Sophia, for whatever reason, it was just enraptured for her. But
just love that
having
Thor.
those,
who's not enraptured by Thor?
I know, it's
Chris Hemsworth, right?
like she'd be kind of fuzzy and whatever, and other times, but then Chris Hemsworth come on screen, she'd be like,
yeah. Me too.
But while watching that, and then later in life, I think the time that to me was always kind of fun and special is, to your guys' point, when you're in those trenches, you're trying to get stuff done. For me, that was Naruto, right? I was getting it. I'd get in, I'd be watching it. I'd have my quesadilla, which is my go-to middle of the night meal. But one day, my daughter, I remember Sophia, she kind of was sitting there, and I was watching, I think it was the early episodes of Naruto, and they do that 1,000 Years of Pain. And I remember I was doing laundry, and I bent over to pick this up, and she goes, huh? And totally got me. I about jumped through the roof, what are you doing? She's I don't know, 3, 4 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Scared the crap out of me. And and now it's the kind of a running gag. Even my youngest at this point, it's the same thing. You got to watch yourself. If you're going up the stairs and she's behind you, you got to watch yourself, because she's...
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's also I think the question last week, when we were talking about what are we going to talk about for Father's Day, we were asking ourselves, what anime would I watch on Father's Day? I would absolutely, if you have kids, especially a little girl, I think My Little Witch Academia would be an amazing one to watch with your kid. It's just so lighthearted. And on Father's Day, you're kind of I imagine sitting back, maybe doing something not so intense, right? Kind of chilling out. Yeah. So I always think One Piece in the background, or one of my favorite animes you can watch all on Father's Day is Fooly Cooly. 6 episodes, totally worth it. Yeah, and I think those are what I was thinking about too. I was you could just sit down and watch a little bit of One Piece. If you want a good dad in One Piece, Whitebeard is arguably the best dad in One Piece. So just a heads up, because he fosters an entire pirate crew.
True.
Very cool.
He's a good adopted papa.
Good adopted papa. But Wano is my favorite arc. That's the one I'd probably put on in the background, because I love it. It's just the mixture between pirates and samurais. Can't get over it.
It's a good combo.
Yeah, it's a great combo. I love it.
It's two of the best things of all time in one show.
Right?
That's awesome.
Were you done?
Yeah, I get for Father's Day anime, I guess it depends on if I'm watching the anime with my kids or if they're in bed and I'm just getting that okay, it's time to relax. Because if it's with my kids, we're going through Sailor Moon right now. We've been really digging Sailor Moon. They love that one a lot. I also fired up campfire cooking with them. They enjoy that. They're always asking me, Dad, when can we watch that weird Japanese cooking show? I'm like, yeah.
Honestly, my wife, that's kind of what cooked her with my shows. Is she'd be like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe you should watch it too."
True. That's true.
So
You guys
yeah, so
ever,
I think.
and
Go
when you
ahead.
watch, you guys watching subbed or dubbed? And this is not a loaded question.
For my kids,
When you're
I'm
with watching
always
kids.
watching dub so that they can understand what's going on.
I think I
And
watched it dubbed because I didn't want to I was doing stuff while I was watching it, so I wanted to
Yep.
listen.
see, that's a huge point. Like when people get mad at people who
is.
watch dub anime, first of all, calm down.
There's
Like,
some dubbed
relax.
anime that's and I'm gonna say some controversial. There is some dubbed anime that, in my opinion, is better than the original subbed anime.
I would agree. And when
Just
you're
saying.
trying to do other tasks, it is impossible unless you speak Japanese or understand Japanese to look away and go do something, because it's like you're like locked in. Okay, we're doing this one thing. We're gonna go to this place, and now we're over, and you're like, what the hell's going on? You just look away for a second, and you've lost the plot. So
yeah.
dub
Yeah,
all the
and
way
I
for
think
that.
I think me and my wife are folding laundry, and I've said this before. We're watching Kowloon, and we're both holding our towels, waiting for the subtitles to end before we fold the next thing.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
It's true. It's true. No, and the reason I asked that is like my kids, when we did it, it was the same thing. Like we usually, my kids at this point, if it's subbed, they're out. Like they disappear. They're like, I'm good. I don't want to read. But when they were younger, I had this one where we would watch it, and I'd be watching watching the anime, and my daughter would come in the room, and she'd be like, Dad, this person doesn't like that person. I'm like, okay, like, is it because she's seeing the faces and the context, or is it like, is this kid the savant, like she's understanding the language? Like, what's going on here? But I just thought it was always interesting to be like, all right, now tell me what you just saw. Like, what's the plot of the story right here? And 90% of the time, she was like 80% there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
I remember being in a living room watching anime on my laptop when I was like 17, and my dad, he was just watching sports, and he would always yell at me like, put my headphones on, and I didn't have my headphones with me or anything like that, so I'd end up just like watching anime muted. So like dubbed or not, subtitles all the way. But when you're doing something, it is so nice. Like watching the original Naruto, like the voice acting isn't the greatest. I'm just gonna throw that out there, but it's still not bad. But watching the original Naruto and being able to listen to it while doing my homework, loved it.
Yeah.
I agree, especially when you're like those of us who had the iPod third generation, like 400 by 300 screen. I allegedly had pulled off some of the episodes onto that, and I'd watch them on this little thing in between classes at school and stuff, and yeah, like trying to read subtitles when they're like, it's really hard.
Yeah.
You just gotta figure out context clues.
For sure. And luckily anime is pretty animated, and you can kind of piece it together a little bit what's going on. But yeah, now that my girls are getting a little bit older, they're in that reading age, and they're finally starting to get to the age where reading isn't just like something they do at bedtime. It's like they're like, oh, I actually like reading, and so they're seeking it out a little bit more. I think we're getting close to the point where I can flip it over to sub, and I'll be like, okay, if you're going to watch this with me, you have to read it too, to just try and give them an extra reason to read. But almost every time that I've tried that up to this point, they go, Dad, can you turn the words off? They're in the way. Okay.
And I totally understand the people who think that way. Like my mom is one of those people who just doesn't like a ton of subtitles. But then, like, if you go watch like Parasite, like that movie, like
Yes, such a good.
I need
right?
him, dude. I need him.
Right.
Like,
it's a great movie, and just being able to sit back and like read, like you just read, it's not that big of a deal. And like you might miss some things on the screen, but you kind of, I don't know, my eyes now kind of do this thing where it's kind of like I'm trying to watch both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like
I usually go down and I speed read, and then I look up, and then I go down, I speed read, and I look up. So I'm just constantly like,
yeah.
But I mean, it comes with practice. So like, obviously my kids, they're not going to be great at it. It's going to take a while. So like, yeah, sometimes those more simple shows like maybe Naruto or Little Witch Academia, where the plot is very easy to kind of just piece together by what's going on screen, it's a little bit easier to do that one subbed. But yeah.
And like, I just want to throw it out there, if any of you guys haven't watched Sailor Moon, it's pretty awesome. Right?
So
the
good.
ending of the first season is, just look it up. There was some news reports in the 90s. But Preston, have you seen the end of the first season? Okay, so Dallin, you haven't though.
I'm gonna watch ahead to prepare my kids.
So if you guys haven't watched it, like, so if anyone's listening and hasn't watched it, like the way that the sailors end the season is the most traumatic. And in the '90s, there was report of seizures and like kids just losing their minds,
losing it.
and we didn't like. They were like, "Is it the colors? Is it the bright lights?" Because it all ends in a big
secret satanic imagery. Because that's how the '90s were.
Yeah.
But like like really, I think it's just no one expected a kids show to have that dark of an ending.
Yeah, that's true.
So funny.
So when you
Queen
you'll
Beryl
love the
really
ending.
had it unlocked.
You'll love. I don't want to spoil it because it's just a gut punch, and then you want to watch the next season and it's not nearly as good.
Yeah. Well, didn't they do like they like rehashed the old season on Netflix? I think it's like maybe it's called Sailor Moon Crystal, or something like that.
I think so.
I think they went
think,
back and redid the season just with like a little more modern animation.
Yeah, and I think I watched a good chunk of it, and then when you get Chibi Ursa, so you get like this like Chibi version of the main character, it's just kind of annoying at that point. But again, real Sailor Moon fans would mock me and be like, "You haven't watched enough." So.
I don't know. I've only watched what I'm halfway through. I think maybe a little bit more than halfway through of the '90s one, and man, there's just something special about that color palette of the old one. Like I saw clips of the new one, and I'm like, it's just not the same. There's something about that watercolor background, those pinks and those blues. Like they were hitting shoujo so well in the '90s. I think it's just kind of a lost art.
Well, and I do want to throw it out there though, like Sailor Moon's like tuxedo mask totally reminded me of Fire Force's like Moonlight mask, and I was just like, "Oh, it's tuxedo mask here to save the day." All I needed was a rose.
Oh, all right. So, what anime would you watch if your kids were in bed for Father's Day? Which ones are like you wanting to watch? And it doesn't even have to be an old one. It could be just something you're like currently watching that you just don't get enough time to watch. You know. Kids are asleep. The whiskey's poured.
To me, that's like Gurren Lagann or Kill a Kill. For me, those ones or Fooly Cooly. Like for me, those are like guilty of just like wild and crazy. Like everything, nothing has to make sense. Just enjoy the craziness of it, and like they'll amp it up to a 20 and keep going. Like.
Well, and then like for me, like sometimes it's just like I need a break, and it's like I don't want to put on something that I'm gonna watch and it's gonna get all crazy. I just want something that's just gonna be like Monster of the Week. So your hat is actually so perfect because when I'm having a rough day and I don't know what to watch, Inuyasha like is so perfect for me. I love to just sit back and just watch Inuyasha. I can't stand like now it makes I like kind of laugh every time I hear it. It's Kagome. Anytime they say her name, I giggle because they say it so much.
They do.
It is like
they don't want you to forget the character's name, okay?
Or for me, the ones that my kids brought up from that one is they picked up the word baka. Because he's constantly throwing baka.
Yeah, and that's actually where I picked up that word is that, and in Dragon Ball Z they use those two a lot.
Yeah. There you go. Oh man, for me, if my kids are in bed, I'm probably watching like Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex. Yeah. Maybe some Psychopaths. Just anything that's kind of more the like sci-fi, cyberpunky kind of stuff.
Edge Runners.
Edge Runners. Like that's my vibe that I just absolutely love, but I can't really watch it with kids around because for the most part it's fine, but then it'll just pop off and there's language and blood and guts, and so it's like you never know when you're gonna have to pause that show or whatever. So that one's a kids in bed only type thing. So yeah, any of those are kind of like my special anime that I get for myself. The late night stuff.
Like it's your top shelf anime.
Yeah, exactly.
So like sometimes you have a bottom shelf anime though, like Tokyo Ghoul would be like one I'd put out like when my kid is asleep and my wife's not hanging out with me because it's just dark. Yeah. If you guys haven't watched it, so you might have a bottom shelf one too that you go to.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I wouldn't even.
So like Berserk might be like your bottom shelf one. And you're like, I'm gonna pull this one out now that everyone's asleep. Like I'm never watching it with Max. Like I know that. Like I'm not gonna put on Berserk when he's 18 and be like, let's watch this together, son.
Yeah,
this is a bonding moment.
Like, this is something you discover on your own or not at all.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's a journey.
So, okay, changing gears. I thought it would be fun to talk about.
Wait, hold on. Preston, what is your go-to bedtime anime?
Oh,
hold on.
Sorry, Preston. I skipped right over you. My bad.
Bedtime
My bad.
anime.
Your kids are asleep. You're alone. Whiskey is poured.
Oh, I think the last time I did that, it was Violet Evergarden, and it was because I didn't know what I was getting into. And the first couple episodes, I was like, okay. And then I stayed up all night long to binge the entire thing, bawling 90% of the time. So that's
Good alcohol.
Probably that one. Yep. The red nose and what's wrong with him? Oh, don't worry about me.
That's wonderful.
Oh, that's great. Love it. Okay, so changing gears. I thought it'd be fun to talk about some advice that we have as semi-experienced dads at this point, I think, between us all. What advice would you have for a new dad or a soon-to-be dad or someone who's thinking about being a dad? Like, if you could boil it down to, a handful of pieces of advice, what would you give?
Okay, so, I just want to point out, none of us are experts. We're all still working on our own vices.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, my biggest piece of advice, and I'm still guilty of not always following my own advice, is don't sweat the small things. I have an idea in my head of how things should go. Like when my kid goes to a place or something, and I tell him this is what I want you to do. But sometimes you just need to just kind of take a step back and just let them be kids and let them make mistakes. Yep. And
let them.
You're just there when they need help, and they'll learn their lessons as they go. Right? And they're
100% agree with that.
And that's something I have a really hard time doing. I just have a really hard time.
That's the one I struggle with the most. And It's one of those things after the kids go to bed, I'm staring at the wall, dead eyes, just a loop in my head where I'm like, did I mess them up today because I didn't let them do this? Dang, I jumped in there and I probably should have just let them figure that out themselves. They're like, oh, they dropped that thing and I got upset with them, but it's just it's just water, or they knocked the vase. Does it really matter? So that's the one that every night I'm just oh, that's the one that kills me.
And I think that's the one thing that I think new dads who are really involved with their kids need to remember is that being involved doesn't always mean that you have to be guiding them at every minute. Maybe it's just there to clean up the mess that they made after they walk away, right? And they're just going on being a kid, right? Instead of getting frustrated, if you're going to get frustrated, you just put the kid down or walk away. It's better that you're in a different room. If you're going to be mad, come back in a minute.
Be the best dad you can be. And like you said, I think some of that's tied up into the anxiety of Mel Robbins is an author, and she wrote a book called The Let Them Theory, and it's exactly what you said, just letting go and not grabbing onto it and biting into it, being okay, because when we're anxious and we want to control things, that's usually when things kind of spiral out of control and we feel out of control and we don't feel whatever. We try and dig in more and more, and really it's just that letting go and saying, okay, I'll help set the boundaries. I'll help be there. And one of the most freeing things for me as a father was when somebody said, hey, it doesn't matter how perfect of a dad you think you are, or how perfect you make choices. Your kids later in life, you will have messed something up, and they will come back to you and say, hey, this traumatized me in some form or fashion, and you just have to accept that's the reality. Everybody's going to have something. But the nice part is, if I'm being the best dad I can be, my hope is that the things that I traumatize them are kind of get smaller and smaller as those generations go on, right? Where maybe I yelled at them for this thing, and then now whenever someone yells at them, they have this knee-jerk reaction to be oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. You know what I mean? I think to me that was comforting to be able to say, okay, it's not an excuse to be a bad dad by any means, but it's a place where, hey, it's okay to keep making those incremental improvements. Well, don't beat yourself up too much.
Well, and that's, I think, the thing that I fall into is I just I rip myself a new one when I mess up, and it doesn't do him any good for me to do that, and it doesn't do me any good, and the next day is not going to be any better. Yeah, it's much better for you to focus on what you can do to fix it and to move forward and not do it again. So coming up with and again, for single dads out there, I'm sorry. Find someone to talk to. But for those of you who have a spouse, talk to your spouse. Absolutely talk to your spouse. If you feel like like that's a good piece of advice too. If you need help, talk to a spouse.
And if
Or
you
if you're
don't have
just
a
getting
spouse and
frustrated,
you need to reach out, like this is not a sponsored video, but I'm one of those guys that, like at some point in your life you're gonna need someone to talk to. Go talk to therapy. Like if you're at the
yeah,
edge, you're creeping up on that. Go find help because it's out there, and some people there's a stigma, I think, against going to therapy or talking to therapists or things like that. And honestly, there's been points in my life that they really you can talk to your spouse, but then having a third party that's impartial to talk to can be really really beneficial. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point,
yeah,
Preston.
yeah, and give yourself like time to do things like
yep.
when my kid was born, like I felt like I was just like burning, like I
Yeah.
feel bad because Dallin's over here with twins, right, burning the candle at two ends, right,
Yeah.
like with two kids, and I'm over here like going, it's still hard either way, even just with one. And so like when I found time to play Bloodborne, I was like that was my thing, right? I'll just sit down
Yes.
and just do the most violent video game I have and get all my frustration out there. And
Yeah.
yeah, Orphan of Costs is a monster. Just a heads up.
Right. Now, Dallin, for the guy who doubled down on his first go, what is your advice?
So my advice would be to just savor it while it's there, because it goes so fast. So when my girls were maybe 3, we were kind of in the state where like we were making okay money, like we had enough to kind of take care of everything, but there was definite pressure, and it was kind of like a point where I was like, okay, I need to go do something to bring in more income, because it's like we're banging our heads on a wall basically. Like there's nowhere else to go. I've got to just better myself. Like that's the only solution. So there was a period of time where I was working 7 to 3, and then I was going to school from 3:30 to 9:30 every day, and I think it was about 2 years where I was doing that, and I just didn't really get to see my kids that often because I was gone. Like I left before they woke up. I was getting home when they were already in bed. So I was really just seeing them on the weekends. And so it was really tough. And yeah, I would just say like it was worth it, obviously, because like now I'm in a better place where I can take care of my kids and I get more time to spend with them now than I ever would have before. So it was definitely worth it. But man, I feel like I missed, 2 years just went like that. And so it's like, just savor all those little moments that you get, the little, stupid, they make a mess or whatever, they yell at you. Like, who cares? It's part of the whole thing. Just like take it all in, the
You
good
never
and the
know when the
bad.
last daddy's home will
Yeah.
come.
Yeah. Cause
Yeah.
eventually that day's going to hit. Like, luckily enough, I'm still there where I know my kids still love to run up to me and give me hugs and stuff like that. But like, man, it's going to be gone sooner than I think. So yeah,
And also
I would just say
spend
just
some
grab
time
onto
around
it.
other people's kids. Because you
It'll
will
make you
go
grateful.
home. Yeah, you will go home to your kid and be like, God, I love my kid.
That kid's
Right?
an asshole.
True. That's so true. That's great advice.
Yeah.
I don't want to bag on other people's kids. Like, but there are times when you're around other people's kids, you're like, damn, my kids are so well behaved and so kind and so gentle compared, and you're just like,
and
wow, I love them.
maybe your kid isn't that kid, but that other kid that you take your kid over to is just a jerk. Maybe he's just a jerk, and your kid is just like crazy but sweet, right? And you'll be like, I'm glad my kid's not a jerk, or hey, my kid is crazy, but like getting your kids around other kids shows you, one, no one knows what they're doing. Two, your kid will look at other kids and go, that's weird. Right, it might reinforce something you're teaching. Like I'm teaching I'm in potty training right now, which is not fun. It is not fun. He does not want to poop on the toilet whatsoever.
That's the hard one, man. That's the hard one.
That's the hard one. And he's got his nephew, my nephew, my wife's nephew is he's also excited to potty train, but he's young, and he's watching my son go through it, and he's like, I'm gonna do it now. And so, like, my son, just by experiencing and being around him, has added to this other kid's life, where this kid is trying to do something because he wants to be, like, he might not be totally ready for it, but he's trying.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to grow a little
kid.
bit more.
I want to. I see the other kids doing it. I'm going to use those mirror neurons and figure it out.
And I think that helps your kid too, right? Like my kid went to a library reading of a book. He's an only child, and so when when a teacher's reading a book, he doesn't know to sit down. But gosh, he learned that really fast to like listen and do what she says. It was pretty cool.
And the crazy part too is like the kids are they're way more perceptive than we give them kind of credence for, I guess.
Yeah.
But like if you really want your kids to jump in and help out and like and like for if you have a spouse that you're like, hey, I really want them to take care of them. If they see you doing that too, they will. It's a no brainer. Like
Yeah.
they'll naturally gravitate towards that. So
Absolutely. Kids are such like little sponges, and they learn by seeing, at least for the beginning portions of their life, especially before they're like school age or maybe even a few years into school age. So much of what they take in is just seeing how other people behave because that's all they know. And so they see you doing something, that's the behavior they're going to pick up. So that's when it becomes crucial to be like, modeling the behaviors you want them to have. And that's also one of the hardest things to do because it's subconsciously not like you don't think about it until after. And then you're like, dang it, why did I shouldn't have done that because now they saw me do it. Like I need to do it this way instead. And you're never going to get it right. But
first time you hear the kid in the other room going, damn it. And you're like, oh no.
Yep.
So that's really funny because I took my son to a chalk art festival, and lately I've been getting really frustrated. I'll be like, fucking hell. And I'll like, and he's going around looking at this art, and there was some pretty good one. There's an Elden Ring one. There was like, some anime ones.
Nice.
And I was teaming into the turtle one. My kid loves the turtles. So I was going around just naming a bunch of anime ones. And my son looks at one and he thinks it's super cool, and he goes, fucking hell. And I'm like, oh, God. And my wife's like, are you mad at something? And he's like, nah, I just like the art.
This is awesome. Like I'm showing appreciation here.
Yeah. And I'm like, God damn, like am I messing him up? Probably not. But it's okay for me, especially if you feel frustrated, like, and like showing your kid how to like, okay, dad needs a timeout. I'm going to go take a break, breathe, come back, try again. My kid has started going, I need a break. And he'll go to his room. He'll sit there for a couple minutes and go, okay, I'm not going to scream at anyone anymore. And he comes back out and he tries again. And it really helps. Like modeling the behavior you want, but even if it's you working on you, right?
So
do
healthy.
that in front of your kids, not always behind closed doors, because your kids need to see that you struggle.
I agree.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say too, as millennials, like I think our generation is probably one of the most hands-on as far as dads being involved in kids' life, for better or for worse. Like we'll find out in 20 years, if that experiment was good or not. But I'd say like our generation is a lot more hands-on. And one thing that I would highly recommend is don't be afraid to apologize to your kids when you mess up. I think it was a thing like, at least I know like my dad and his dad, that was kind of like, no, the parents don't apologize. You're just the kid. Like you did it wrong. You're wrong. Like, that's just how it is. The grownups are always right kind of thing. Like that's kind of
you're
how
wrong. I'm big, you're small.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I grew up, whether that's good or bad, whatever, that's the different topic. But having my kids and then like, I'll do something that maybe they don't call me out on it, but I feel like, man, I didn't really handle that very well. Just going up to them and just saying, hey, I'm so sorry I did X, Y, Z, and I shouldn't have done it like that. And this is how I should have handled it. And like, I'm sorry I did that and I'll try better next time. Like just that little script right there, like 30 seconds, you'll come to find your kids are so much more forgiving than any other adult ever will be. 100%. Your kids love you despite any sort of mistakes you make. And every time I've done that, it has just been nothing but a positive experience. It's always ended with a hug
that emotional
and tackles
intelligence
and tickles and just, they're just happy. And I cannot recommend doing that enough.
I love that. My wife, one of the things she used to say when we were first married that I thought was interesting, because I always, I'm like, oh, kids, munchkins, like, they always had the fun, silly, whatever names. She always used to call them little people. And for me, I always like little people. But then the older that like you interact with kids, you realize that they are like, if you treat a little kid like with the emotional intelligence and like the forgiveness and just like you said, giving them, hey, I'm sorry, dad messed up, I'm not perfect. Like they are very much little people, and they pick up on it, they see it, and it makes a big difference. So.
Well, and so like lately I've been working on like my frustration. At work, I'm really good about like just being always happy-go-lucky, especially even like in front of you guys, I'm pretty happy-go-lucky, but little things set me off because like at work, I have control over the environment. At home, it can be chaos. And so, I've been working on like taking deep breaths, and my son, I'll be like, oh, Max, I'm getting frustrated. And he'll be like, it's okay, Dad, just take a couple deep breaths. And that is the most calming thing ever, to have a 3-year-old tell you, chill out. Right?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, chill out, dude. And I'm like, okay, I'll
Your
chill
kids
out.
watch any Daniel Tiger?
Oh, no, that'd be
Oh
great.
my goodness, that's the one for me. Like they always do stuff, like what is it, the
Take a deep breath and count to four.
count to four. 1, 2, yeah. Oh,
Did you ever see that TikTok where she's like, take a deep breath and count to four, and she's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not working.
Yeah.
yes.
But then, like, I started switching it up from breathing and just being overly positive. So, like, my son loves to make a mess at the dinner table when he's done eating. So then that way we clean up the food because he's making a mess, and we get him out of the chair because he's making a mess. He learned that, like, he gets out of the chair faster if he makes a mess.
Oh no.
So I've been like just hitting it really hard, like, oh my God, thank you so much for picking up your plate and getting it ready for me. Thank you so much for saying please. And he just, gosh, it's been so much easier. Like, just being like, kudos to my brother-in-law who gave me that advice. Being overly positive has just really sent my brain into a different mode. Like, because my kid is reciprocating. Like, he never used to just come up and hug me. Now he's like, you're the best dad ever. And I'm like, yeah, I win today.
Yeah, I am.
I am.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Yeah. Or he's conditioning me. He Pavlo dogged me. Like,
Yeah,
Probably a
he's
little
just
bit of
giving
both.
you all the good stuff now so that when he's a teenager and he does something, like, he can cash in on those points.
yeah. So yeah, toddler stage, I guess, like, you've got children down, right? And then you've almost got a preteen. Is that right, Preston?
Yep. She's 13, 14. Yep.
Dude,
That's a
wild.
fun age.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
It makes you feel old, and then you're like, I'm not old though. Like, I'm still 17. What the hell?
But you're not topical anymore. You're not topical. You're like a 17-year-old who's like out of the loop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll walk up to her. And, now I know I've gotten to that age because I'll walk in and I'll be teasing her. I'll be like, "Hey, Sophia, you got that? Like, you and your friends. I hear you laughing in here with that skibbity toilet Ohio Riz." And then she's like, "Dad, no,
You don't even know what that means.
you don't even know."
Cap, bro.
Bad.
Cap, right? Like,
Yeah, man, I'm locked in. This is fire.
yeah.
Yeah, embarrass your kids too. They need
Yeah.
it. It
Well,
builds character.
So I teach 8th graders, and I teach 14-year-olds, I teach 13-year-olds. And honestly, like, parents who are worried that your kid is just still a kid. Like, even though they've got a bigger body, they're learning, they're acting more like adults. Most, like, I don't think 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds are going to screw up the next generation. When I, like, each after 9 years of this, I'm like, they're the same as when I first started. Right? Like, they're not that different, right? Yeah, maybe that some kids come in with some, like, COVID, can't read stuff, or, like, maybe they might be a little bit behind in some areas, but most of your kids are going to be fine. Just know that, like, you were there to support and help, and things will just go fine. Much like Piccolo for Goku. No.
That's right. If Piccolo wasn't there for Gohan,
Absolutely. Well, that's solid advice, guys. I think I've even learned some things that I didn't know. So it's good to talk about it. And yeah, if you don't have someone to talk to about it, you chat us in the comments. We'll gladly talk dad stuff with you at any time. So if you're in need of a support in any kind of way, just let us know. We can gab your ear off.
isn't it Men's Health Awareness Month too? Men's.
It might be.
I believe Juneteenth is also coming up.
Is it?
It's my
June is
brother's
Men's Health
birthday.
Month.
Yeah.
So I mean, I only put that 2 and 2 together because at work I got an email that says, "Hey, we're having a men's health, mental health webinar, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Like, okay, cool.
So this all fits right in.
There you go. Oh, so do you guys want to just do like a real brief, quickly hit the anime stuff that we watched this week?
So I had a hard time watching Sword of the Demon Hunter. I just got to say it. It was like, I think the first episode lulled me into a sense of confidence. Like, I liked it in the first couple episodes, and now I'm just struggling. Like, the action sequences are a little slow, and it's kind of slow.
It's just to me, it's at the point of like, it's time to drop it. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
like any if I wasn't watching it for the podcast, I think I would just be like, that one's done, moving on.
And if it
really
picks
was
up, I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
It really
it's
was
just
such
not
a
one that
drop-off.
lends itself well to watching in episodic, right? Binging, maybe it's better, but in the episodic format,
Yeah.
it leaves some.
It feels like it should be a
wanting.
book. Like I
Yeah.
would enjoy it more as a light novel. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Is it
Like-
a light
I'm
novel
like-
source?
It might be. I'm not going to check right now. I mean, like I was looking at it, I was like thinking, like it probably is a book now.
It might be a
Probably
light
where
novel.
it came from.
If that's where it came from, I think it should have stayed a light novel.
Yeah. But I think given time it will grow. But like right now where it's at, it's too slow.
It's in the awkward ugly duckling stage.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's see. Fire Force. And we don't have to go, like bullet by bullet. Let's just general impressions. How are we feeling about the show right now?
I'm liking Fire Force. I think it was cool to see some of the Dola Burst stuff. To get
Yeah.
a little bit more insight behind the curtain with the sisters, and like to see the puppeteering hand start to show its. Oh
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
I really loved the forging of the sword. Like that was really cool. I enjoyed that. I think Arthur's parents popping in.
Yeah.
A little weird to me.
It was a little weird.
I don't know that I love it, especially because they're like, oh, by the way, we already know everything that's going on. And I'm like, then why didn't you come up and tell someone?
Yeah, seriously.
How do you
See
have
something?
all the answers?
Say something.
Yeah, it just made me feel like I went through 3 seasons and you knew this whole time. Like, why did I go through these 3 seasons?
Well, and then like Arthur's parents just abandoning their kid. Like I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
worst parents ever.
Yeah.
What the heck, man?
And not
Especially
just
if they had
abandoning
other
once,
kids.
but twice. Like,
Yeah.
and what's her face picked up on it too. She's like, "Man, I felt so bad for him." But then Arthur's over there, just kind of like starry-eyed, like, "Yeah, my parents are the best." Like,
Yeah, they didn't leave me. They went to go save the world. Sorry, guys, my monitor went out. I don't know what's going on.
no.
But I know my face got really close there.
It did.
We'll see. We'll see if it fixes. But
Here, pull your head closer again.
nah, I'm
Get
good.
the forehead kisses.
I've been like House of
Kiss your
the.
bros. Kiss your bros.
I've been I feel like I'm like the what is it, the way of the house husband, like
Yeah.
like everything I'm thinking about is like going up against like a mafia bro or something. Like I got trees I planted, so I'm like I got to save those roots. Like I got to save my boys. Like and then like I painted a ceiling, and I'm like I got to get that paint before it dries. Right, and it's been a day, but yeah.
Oh, so let's see. Kowloon. How are we feeling about Kowloon with these last 2 episodes?
Honestly, I still love it, man. It's the only one it's like one of the ones I look forward to the most.
Yeah,
because like
I agree.
it's
Got the hooks in
weird.
us.
It's weird, but I love it.
I'm getting to the point where I'm like, you're gonna have to start answering more questions at a faster frequency because we're getting close to the end, and I don't know that this is a 2-season show. It might be. It might end on a huge cliffhanger, and we have to have a season 2. But it's just
They've
like
let us know a lot in the last couple episodes.
yeah, a lot of stuff has been answered, but I think with every answer comes 2 new questions, or at least I'm like, wait, how does that fit into the larger scale of things? But
Preston, did you just learn something?
No, I'm kind of. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, so with Kowloon, I've been really excited about the fact that they're like exploring like whether she's real or not. I like that they're investigating Jean Terra. We know that something inside the reason the city was demolished wasn't necessarily for like legitimate reasons. Like it's a cover up for an incident in a lab, right? So, I think it's good. It's good.
yeah, I think the most interesting thing we found out so far, well, I guess 2 things, is one, the food makes them forget, or
It makes you part of the city. Yeah.
Yeah, it pulls you in. Like that was pretty interesting. And then the bit where she was wearing the glasses and would see the past, see like flashes of memories. I thought that was pretty interesting too. So I'm not sure how that will all pay off just yet, but
It's cool.
just more new
They're
cool
sowing the
information.
seeds.
Yeah.
I think it might be like the ship of Theseus thing that you talked about in the very first time we talked about it. Like, is she her own thing? But when she puts on the glasses, is she putting on, you know, like part of Kujaraya B,
Yeah.
right? And is she becoming more like Kujaraya B when she does that? And then if she never puts on the glasses and she's never part of Kujaraya's life, then maybe she's her own person.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's been crazy. Like you said, I think it's the one I look forward to the most every week, which is crazy. I never
agree.
thought I would say that about a romance anime, but
I
like,
agree.
is this even a romance anime at this point? Like, it's a subplot.
Kind of
of
weird.
the show. Like, it happens. There's romance. There's, two characters who
Okay,
are...
but hold on. Speaking of romance, I just want to throw out there Fire Force. Did you catch what happened in the briefing room when Captain Obi was like, what we're going to go do? Like, the sister, the blonde one, she was like, she would like who's the sister, Haname? The one the one with the lilies that she makes or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Right? She's sitting there hitting on Shinra, and the other sister is like, maybe you should go for an older dude. Maybe you should go for someone else. And like was throwing a bunch of people out there, and she's like, I love you too, Shinra. Like, I like you too, right? Like, if she's just getting him to like say, I like you too, sister. It was really good. I was like, that's a good subplot. That was good.
Nice.
I like
Love
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last one, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get a chance to watch this one this time just because I've had so much projects and crap going on. But To Be Hero X, how do we
Dude, top
feel?
tier. Top. I loved it. I actually sat down, and so I was like, I'm gonna watch. I already watched Calhoun because me and my wife watch it, so we're just binging through it. And then I sort of Demon Hunter. I watched when my car was getting an oil change today. And then I've been busy, like. And then but like Fire Force, I watched all of it and was like, cool, Captain Obi's got the muscles, no bug got in him. Like, it was great. Dragon's gonna get taken down, and like, I don't know if it's gonna be by Benny or by Arthur yet. And then but like, I was watching To Be Hero X, and Lucky Cyan is freaking dope.
I agree.
Like,
It was fun.
And like, her backstory is just great. So if you didn't, so Dallin, you said you hadn't had a chance. So Lucky Cyan is a little girl who's found in a plane crash.
Right,
And
I
in
watched that episode,
Yeah.
but I didn't get her because they've been doing them in like twos. Like, well,
And
it
it
seems
alludes
like they've
to
been
her
doing like twos.
being one of the one of the hero's kids, isn't it?
So no,
The photos and stuff, or no?
So check this out. So all these people are on the plane with photos of superheroes and stuff, and like, I think it was to show that they trusted superheroes to save them in this world.
Okay, I see.
And that they
That's
weren't
where I was
saved.
like,
And this
that's-
reporter picks her up and like gives her to this orphanage. And this ex-hero runs the orphanage, and he's basically farming heroes. Anyone with a trust level, he wants them. Right? And he's trying to build superheroes to like sell them out to the companies.
He's a corrupt Charles Xavier.
But kind of not. Like, he's living vicariously. So like, maybe he has good intentions, but not necessarily the
Initially,
best. But like absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So Lucky Cyan's luck corrupts the orphanage to a certain degree, right? People are starting to use this kid for all this luck. But there's this one kid called the Calamity, who shows up.
I like him.
The
And
opposite.
but here's the best part about him. He sees her as a person, and he shows her that her power isn't always lucky, right? And then come to find out, he helps her escape in a pretty traumatic way. And then
playing guitar and everything else.
and hitting the owner with a car.
Yeah,
Right? Which could
that
be
one was
lucky.
pretty funny.
Which could be
That's
lucky
pretty
or
funny.
unlucky, right? Because like, she's using all this luck to get out, but all this luck has a consequence for someone else.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the idea. But anyways, she goes
Like
off on
that
her
father
own.
figure that he becomes unhinged, and he's like, "You can't leave because I made this is the reality, and you're going to fit the mold that I created."
To not
and,
rag on dads, we'll just call him a dance mom, right?
yeah.
So like, this dance mom is trying to hold her there, right? And then so like, she runs away. She joins the Heroes Association, and she tries to get her friend back, and they say like, "Oh, he died." So she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know that the kid's alive. But anyways, besides that, we find out there's a second power in the universe. There's trust, but then there's also fear. And fear infests people. And so people started getting scared of Lucky Cyan's power, and the fear began to envelop in them and turn them into like almost zombies. There's like a whole zombie episode.
Holy.
And it was so
It's
awesome.
cool. That's
It
cool.
was so awesome.
That sounds sweet. That's making me want to go watch it.
and her friend was one of the causes of like the zombie stuff. Like his powers seemed to like kind of radiate through the orphanage and make people. Yeah, and so she ends up coming back, and we find out that Lucky Science survived that plane crash, and her friend's parents were on that plane. The Calamity's parents were on that plane.
Oh,
so Lucky Science survived. Lucky Science survived because, but other people died, and because she was lucky, she survived. Or did her luck cause the plane to crash? But we come to find out that the plane crash, when it happened, everyone on board put all their trust value into Lucky Scion, giving her the luck power. Right? Because they wanted her to survive the crash. So they were putting all their hopes and dreams into her, that she was lucky enough to survive the crash. That's where her power came from. Was all these people on the plane. Yeah. It's honestly one of the coolest. You have to go back and watch it. It's awesome.
I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, it was heartfelt. I loved it.
I know I said that I hadn't watched it, but now as we're talking about this, I'm like, oh yeah, I know watch that one. I think I might have watched.
I couldn't put that one down. I was like, I'm gonna watch one. I'm gonna go play Night Rain. I'll see you later, Meg. And it just kept going. I was like, never mind. I'm not watching anything.
To Dylan's point, though, I like the anthology works in a lot of ways, and but the thing that's heartbreaking is that like if the next episode they drop Lucky Scion and they throw someone else in, like I need to have a thread that I can follow between each of the stories.
Well, there's Esol, and then there's. But here's what I think should happen. I think we should have a team up. We should have a boss raid.
Yeah. I think it is building to a point where it's almost like it's introducing us to all these characters so that it can do something with it later, to the point where it's like almost going to be like an Avengers style like team up or like some sort of like battle tournament. But now we know all of these different heroes and their abilities, and so now we want to see how they stack up against each other. Like I think it's going towards that, but the build up to get there, for the most part, works. But there's a few times where I'm just like, I was just getting to like that character, and now I got to throw that all away and start over. One. Like, come on.
Well,
it'll get there. I really hope that payoff. Honestly, like, I think it'll be good.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Could be really cool.
I think that if we give it time, this could be a pretty good show. And if you didn't watch all the Lucky Science stuff, the animation stayed consistent through the whole thing. It didn't change too much. So
very interesting.
I'm wondering if different groups are working on different characters, and that's how they're getting it all done. Because if the same artists are working on the same thing, I don't think it would work. But if just one team is working on one episode or one run, then the next team works on another run. Because Lights, like the amount of animation that was in Lights' story was like insane. And the animation that was in Lucky Science was like, I don't want to say Demon Hunter level, but it was like just below that. Like it was pretty good. Like it had some good 3D movements through buildings. I'd say almost Jujutsu Kaisen, like almost there. It was pretty good stuff. So solid choreography too.
Yeah, it seems like Donghua is like becoming more and more prevalent in the anime space now, because there was Link Click a while back. This time there's one coming out next season.
Tower of God, was that one?
Tower of God. Then there's one coming out next season called The Lord of Mysteries. Like I think they're just starting to kind of become more popular, and I think the average anime viewer probably doesn't really pay attention to the difference between Donghua and anime. Like they just don't care. It's drawn, somebody drew it. They're not paying attention to the studio. They don't care about that kind of stuff. So it's just anime.
It's a motive.
When I've picked up Korean mangas or manhwas and stuff, they have been some of my favorite. They have been refreshing. They take what was done in Japan or the art style in Japan, and they either add to it or take it and break the rules that we're used to. And I think that's refreshing, because just like with the movie industry, like you kind of get saturated with the same style of stuff. You kind of go, okay, I'm not going to watch a movie for a while because that was trash, right? Like
you get the Marvel effect where you're like, I just don't want to watch a Marvel movie now. Like, don't give me any more superhero movies for like 10 years.
I agree.
Just give me something else. And like I feel like anime's getting to that point where it's like no more isekais. I can't do it. No more isekais, please.
Yeah.
I don't want to
We
say
need
no
more
more
yes
isekais.
ands rather than yes. Let's do the same thing.
Or
Well,
if you
and
do an isekai, just make it different enough from the last isekai I watched.
Well,
Give it some kind of punch that's unique to it.
Yeah.
And
that
I haven't
tells a
watched an
story.
anime for a long time, and I'm finally starting to go, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna watch whatever now. Like I used to just watch my shoujos, my shonen jumps, and like my Bleach, my Naruto, and now I'm like, well, why can't I watch Komi Can't Communicate and Spy Family and Violet Evergarden and cry in the middle of the night?
Yeah,
you know,
they just
like
need that different flavor every once in a while.
and it's nice to be able to watch something that's like animated too.
Yeah.
Because that's what resonates with me.
What's that? There's one that I keep seeing pop up in my TikTok feed. I think it's Isla sometimes hides her feelings in Russian.
Oh yeah, I think that
So-
was two seasons back.
That's another one that like those kind of things that, again, to your point, Tyler, like for me for a long time it was like, okay, shonen, okay, like we're gonna hit some Dragon Ball Z, we're gonna get some Demon Hunter, but like that starting to branch out, like Kowloon was a refreshing change of pace, right? Or Demons did destruction, like, or like it's those it gets you like, oh wow, there's more to it than just this
To Your
formulaic,
Eternity?
like
I think that's
To Your
another one that was
Eternity,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Or
a good
Erased.
weird anime for that exact reason. It just kind of shocks you out of the norm, just kind of almost recalibrates everything. And then when you go back and watch, the next shonen show or the next isekai, you're like, okay, I had a little break. I had the palate cleanser. Now I feel good to come back to my staples.
Well, and like when you guys said Tower of God, I'm like, oh my God, I love that. Reading Tower of God has been just like watching it. Because when I sit down and I watch it, I'm like, you just put movement to everything I've already seen. Like, because it's such a beautiful. It's in color, so every chapter you get is full color. You know what's
wasn't
going
Solo
on.
Leveling that way too? Like just fully colored. Yeah, that's crazy to me.
And it just watching it live and like with sound effects, like that was really what I was listening to. I was listening for sound. Because it's not something you get. You have to fill all that in. Like, what sound does the console make when it appears in front of him? Does it go ding, or does it just not? It's just nothing, Like, so it was really cool to see what animators chose to do. Because I was looking at it from a different lens at that point. Because I knew the story, I knew what was coming. I was like, what are they going to do? Are they going to foreshadow? Like,
I think that's one thing that's really interesting about manhwa, especially like the full colored manhwa, is it's bridging the gap almost between manga and graphic novels. Because most graphic novels a lot of times are fully colored and just more of like a tight story. And then, manga is just its continuation, 18 volumes, whatever. And so I think it kind of bridges the gap between the two, which is really cool. And I think maybe that might be why it's blowing up, because it bridges between what Americans are used to and the tropes of anime and things that we love on that side. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
And I do find that webtoons fall into tropes. There's a lot of the isekai video game tropes. There's a lot of the there's martial arts tropes and stuff. Or like reincarnation ones. Those ones are big ones.
I feel like the power up, the like leveling up kind of character trope has become really popular in webtoons and manhwa. Like Solo Leveling did it, but then there's like Omniscient Reader, which is also really freaking awesome. But like I think there's a bunch of different ones like that where it's all just about the grind and the level up.
Yeah, the Murin Ultimate Leveling or whatever, or Unlimited Leveling. There's so many that I read. There's the Sword King, that one's pretty good. And they're just all these fully colored, beautiful pieces of art. So I suggest reading them. I love them. A really good one to get into is The Breaker. It's got 3 different sections: The Breaker New Wave, and there's another Breaker New something. Nice. And I love all of those. And it's a cool evolution because it's Korean, and then The Breaker is done in a traditional Japanese style manga, right? But it's a manhwa. And then the next one, The Breaker New Wave, is done the same way. But this third one that I'm reading is done in full color. So you can kind of see this evolution too. And and I've been seeing it as I've gotten older with the mangas. They're changing. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Very cool. All right. Anything else you guys want to hit on with the seasonal stuff, or you want to call out wraps?
Yeah, I think we can call it wraps. I just want to remind dads, have a great Father's Day. Treat yourself to something. If that's a whiskey, it's a whiskey. If it's not a whiskey, maybe some alone time, or maybe some time with your kids. But remember, it's Father's Day. You don't have Father's Day without your kids. So
That's true. That's true. Spend time with the fam. Have a good burger. You know, do the dad stuff. But have fun on your own too. Go play some Night Rain, or go watch an anime.
Iron Eye all the way, guys. Play Iron Eye.
Oh, I'm so scared. I haven't played it yet, and I don't know anything. Okay,
It'll be fun.
Okay. It's gonna be awesome. All right. Well, on behalf of all of us here at Dad-ime, we wish you a happy Father's Day, and we're all signing off. Have a good day, night, whenever you're listening to this. Peace.
Thanks, y'all.